Okay, so welcome to the first sound design video or lecture for the trance idea, and we're going to be recreating this sound here, this nice smooth chord pluck. So this kind of sound is the hallmark of trance and progressive music. You hear it all over the place. It's a really nice sound. There's debate over who came up with it. You know, some people say Deadmau5, some people say Paul van Dyk. I don't really care. All I care about is how to make the sound, and that's what we're going to learn. So I'm going to duplicate this track now, and I will delete this original one. We're just going to load, sorry, we're not going to load, we're going to initialize the preset so we can make it from scratch. Now, a Pluck sound is very similar to what we call a super saw in terms of sound design. So a super saw is that big detuned sound that often plays chord progressions, melodies. And so it's basically a super saw that has a filter on it, and the filter is modulated by an envelope. If you don't know what I mean, don't worry, you're going to learn. So we're going to start off with two saw waves. So we're going to go into basic shapes, and we're going to move over to the saw wave, and we're just going to turn the unison up to 8. We definitely want unison for this sound. And we're going to leave the detune where it is actually. So let's have a listen to what it is so far. So this is a simple super saw, like I was talking about. And now we're going to add in a second oscillator, and we're going to add in basic shapes again with unison. So we just want to make this a really big sound. We're going to turn the detune down just a little bit more this time, and the blend down, blend down a little bit. So it just fills it in a little bit. Oh, sorry, turn the wave to a saw wave. Makes it a little bit sharper, a little bit abrasive actually, but that's okay because we're going to fix that up. Now to detune these from each other a little bit, I'm going to turn the fine down about 4 cents on one and 4 cents up on the other. And so that makes it sound a little bit more detuned, a little bit wider. Okay. So now what we're going to do is add in some noise. And so this is just going to add a little bit to our high end. So I'm going to add analog, bright, white. And you know what? I'm going to leave that where it is. It just fills in the high end a little bit. And now what we're going to do is run this all through a filter to create our pluck. So if you watch the other sound design videos, you will have seen this already done, especially with the Pluck ones we looked at in the future bass module. And so we want to add a filter here. I'm going to pick MG low 18. So I'm just going to click that button there so we get MG low 18. And here's how it sounds at the moment. Pretty weird because we've only got one oscillator going in to the filter. So we need to enable B. We also need to enable the noise oscillator so we get this. So now you can hear those high frequencies are being cut off and the lower frequencies are passing. Again, low pass. Just going to pull this down a little bit. And we're going to push up the drive a little bit. Give it a little bit of power. And now we're going to modulate this cutoff knob. Okay, we're going to do this with envelope 2. So let's click on envelope 2. Let's just drag this across to the cutoff and hear how it sounds straight away. So we can hear that that's just pushing up the cutoff completely. So we want to change this a little bit. Let's pull the cutoff down a little bit more, and let's pull the sustain down so we get a nice pluck sound. Now it's still a little bit too strong for me, so I'm going to make it a little bit shorter by moving the decay down. And also pulling the cutoff down a little bit more. And on envelope 1, which controls the volume or amplitude for these two oscillators, I'm just going to pull the sustain down and leave the decay around 1000. I'm going to pull this resonance down all the way. Okay, so just did a few things there. I turn the sustain up and the release up on envelope 1 and 2, just to make it a little bit softer. Okay. So it's really nice. I like that. Now what we're going to do is just add a few effects to this to make it sound a little bit more interesting. So we're going to add a delay. We're going to keep it with this timing, this 1/4. We'll keep it on normal. We'll also add some reverb. Make it a plate reverb, and we'll turn the damp up quite a lot. Actually, we'll make it a hall reverb. And finally, we'll add a compressor to make that pop through a bit more. Okay, so that's pretty good. Alright, so that's how you make a progressive or trance-like pluck. Pretty straightforward. Again, what we did, just to recap, is we added in 2 saw waves, detuned 8 voices. This one had a lot less blend than this one. We also detuned the oscillators from each other by adjusting the fine amount, which adjusts the sense. And then what we did is we added some noise, and then we pushed that all through a filter, a low pass, and to pull the cutoff down, turn the drive up, and then modulated the cutoff with envelope 2. And then we had to pull the sustain and decay down by a fair bit to give it the plucky sound. We also had to pull the cutoff down a little bit more. And then what we did is we pushed up the sustain and release on envelope 1 and 2, just to make it sound a little bit more soft and long. And then finally we added in these 2 effects, delay and reverb.